Today we're going to be reviewing the Wattsaving US10. It's a 40 amp plug-in electric vehicle charger from a company called Wattsaving. They're actually an established EV charging brand in China that provides charging equipment for many of the established electric vehicle manufacturers in China. So first up, let's open up the box and see what comes inside. All right, let's take a look at what we have here. There is a nice 24.5 foot long cable, and it feels like it's got a nice rubberized jacket. It doesn't feel like a cheap cable. I think this might perform well in the cable deep freeze test, but we'll see later. Been surprised before. Good connector too. I think this is the same connector that Wallbox uses for the Pulsar Plus. And I like that connector a lot. It's got a really good solid grip. It's heavy. It's not a cheap plastic connector. This thing feels like you could beat the hell out of it and it'll withstand whatever abuse you give it, but we'll check it out later with our connector drop test. The tab is a nice thick tab here, but I think this is plastic, not metal. I prefer when these are metal. I'll check that out later to confirm, but it does feel like it's plastic. This might be a weak point here. It is plastic, and I can bend it. But other than that, the rest of the connector feels good in your hands. Unit is relatively compact, about the size of the Tesla wall connector, maybe a little bit wider, but not quite as tall. And it's got a NEMA 650 plug on the end, which is interesting because I asked for it in a NEMA 1450 plug, so I'll have to get an adapter out for that. No big deal, but it is available in both NEMA 650 and NEMA 1450 plug configurations. This here is the cable management system. It does not come with a connector holster, so the connector is just going to be draped and hanging down. I don't like it when there's no connector holster included. This is the wall mounting bracket. Basically, this gets screwed to the wall like this. There's 4 holes here, and then the unit hangs on this and locks in. So let me see. Yeah, there's 4 screws on the back here. So these are going to basically attach or hang on the back of this wall mounting unit. And then there's a set screw. There's a little hole here. After you put the unit on and sort of hang it on there, you take this little set screw that's here and you put it on this little side here, and that prevents the unit from coming off. Probably not the best wall mounting system that I've seen, but it should be fine, particularly if this is in your garage and it's not out in the public where somebody might mess with it and want to steal it. It doesn't seem to be very secure if it's in a public place, but like I said, if it's inside your garage, it really doesn't make a difference. And then there's 7 screws and drywall anchors. 3 of those screws are for the connector holster. The 4 of the screws are for that mounting plate. And there is also 2 RFID keys that are in the shape of an electric delivery van. You use these for access control if you don't want the unit just to be on all the time so anybody can plug in. You can set it up so that you need this RFID card to turn it on. We'll go over that later. Okay, next up, let's take a look at the Wattsaving's key features before we jump into the review. This video was sponsored by Qmerit, North America's premier installer of electric vehicle charging equipment. After I've helped you decide which electric vehicle charger you're going to buy, follow the link in the description of my videos and have Qmerit install it. And if you follow that link, Qmerit will waive the $150 installation deposit. But in order to have the deposit waived, you must follow the link in the description of my videos. Okay, the Wattsaving US10 key features. Price, costs $199. Very affordable, low price unit. Dimensions, 13 inches by 7.9 inches by 4.6 inches. It is a 40 amp charger that can deliver 9.6 kilowatt. The current is not adjustable. It's going to put out 40 amps as long as the vehicle is calling for that. It's unusual. Most EVSE today do have adjustable current. This one you cannot. The cable's 24.6 feet long. It only comes in J1772. You can't get this with a NACS connector, but you can charge Teslas and NACS vehicles with the adapter. It is an IP65 rated enclosure. It has RFID access control. The operating temperature is negative 22 degrees Fahrenheit to 131 degrees Fahrenheit. This unit is not safety certified. It comes with a 2-year warranty and it is made in China. Installing the Wattsaving US10 is relatively simple. You have that one mounting bracket that you put on the wall with these 4 screws here. When you mount it on the wall, make sure that the open ends of these openings here are on the top, because on the bottom it's closed where the screws on the back of the unit slide in and then lock down. So let's take a look at that. These 4 screw heads here on the back, or kind of bolt heads, stick out. What you do is you slide them in, you put them in the holes in the back and then slide them into the top. So now it's locked in place, but this will lift right out. The way that it's secured is with that one set screw that I mentioned earlier in the unpacking. There's a screw hole here on the lower right-hand side that you screw this screw in, and what it's supposed to do is the hole's right above the screw head on the back of the bracket here. So once the screw is all the way in, what it's supposed to do is hold the screw heads here and the bolt is here. It's supposed to keep it from lifting out, because that's how you remove it. You lift it out. Now that screws all the way in, but notice this. It doesn't work. And I've done this a couple times and looked at it and taken it off the wall. It simply doesn't work. So this does not mount to the wall very easily. It's leaning up against that screw head, but with any kind of force, you just push it right past the screw. So, you know, if I own this, I would figure out another way of more securely mounting it to the bracket, because you don't want it like this. I mean, if you're pulling with the cable, I mean, it's lifting up now because I use a bracket. I don't secure it to the wall like you would, but this can still easily just come loose. So very poor mounting system. So once you have that mounted, you install the cable holder here with these 3 screws here. Now there's no connector holster, so there's nothing to secure this into. So if you want to connect a holster, they're readily available online. You can buy them for like $10, $15. Electron actually sells a pretty good one. But if you're not going to use that, make sure you use this cap when it's not in use. Because if you're anything like me, you work a lot in your garage, sawdust, you cut metal shavings, all that stuff gets airborne. And over the time, it'll work its way into the pins and foul the pins. So, you know, and especially if it's outside or if you do any kind of wet work in the garage, you don't want this exposed to the elements because it will eventually foul the pins and cause it to fail. Okay, so next up, let's plug her in. It comes in either NEMA 650 or NEMA 1450 plug configurations. I asked Wattsaving to send me NEMA 1450 because that's what I have here in the garage. I have 2 1450 outlets, but they sent me the 650, but that's okay because I've got adapters for everything. So let's plug that in, and it's powering up. So the unit is powering up. I guess we'll jump right into the testing. And for that, we'll start off with the deep freeze test. So I'll throw this thing in a freezer and start that test in about 24 hours. So I know I just finished saying we're going to do our cold weather testing next, but I'm switching things up a little bit. And that's because I'm concerned that this plastic tab on the top of the connector might break during the connector drop test. And if that's the case, I have to end the review, get another unit shipped out to me and all that. So I'm going to hold that to the end after I do all my testing, and then I've even used the unit for about a week to 10 days, which is what I typically do in these reviews. Then I'll do the cold weather testing at the very end. So we're going to do the extreme heat test now. I've had this heat lamp on the unit for 2 hours, maintaining a surface temperature of about 120 degrees. Let's see what we're at now, 119.5. It's been that way for about 2 hours. I'm now going to pull my Ford F-150 Lightning into the garage, plug the unit in. Yes, I have an extension cable going. That's why you'll see me in a different position here. I used to do these extreme heat tests with the unit mounted on the wall, but I'm starting to like melt my wall. So I had to build this movable stand for the chargers and kind of do the heat test in the middle of the garage. So, you know, live and learn with doing testing like this. And I was actually baking the wall too much. So I'll pull the Lightning in the garage now, plug it in. We'll charge for 2 hours. I'm going to leave the heat lamp on the unit and make sure that it delivers the full 40 amps of current for the full 2 hours. It doesn't derate, it doesn't shut off, or none of that stuff. So let me get the Lightning now and plug this guy in. All right, so it has been 2 hours now, and I've been checking on the Lightning. Let me turn off this heater and slide it over here. The unit's been delivering the full 40 amps for 2 hours. The Lightning added about 18 kilowatt hour in the 2 hours, so delivered the full amount of power. This guy is hot now. We are up to, let me see here, 155 degrees is the surface temperature. That's because while leaving the lamp on it was maintaining 120 degrees. Once it starts delivering power, the units just always heat up themselves. So this was able to pass the extreme heat test. And to remind people that maybe don't follow my channel, the reason why I do this is sometimes people mount these chargers outside and they're in direct sunlight and they live in areas that are very hot out, Arizona, Texas, Southern California, Florida, some of the southern states. The units can get extremely hot in direct sunlight. We do this just to make sure that they can sustain delivering maximum power even when the units are really actually exceeded their operating temperature that's listed in the user's manual. And the Wattsaving US10 was able to do that. Okay, next up, we're going to do the automatic restart test. I'm going to leave the Lightning plugged in. As you can tell, it's still plugged in and charging. I'm going to shut the circuit off. Leave it off for about a minute. Turn it back on. What I want to see is the charger re-engage the vehicle and start charging again. Sometimes we've seen some of these units, once there's an abrupt power cut, when power is restored, the unit remains in a fault state and it doesn't start charging the vehicle. And what will happen is if you get some sort of a temporary power outage overnight, even if it just flickers off for a few seconds, you wake up in the morning and your car's not charged. Okay, so let me turn the circuit off. We'll see how the unit performs. Okay, and the unit is charging again. Let me just double check inside the Lightning. Yep. So it passes the automatic restart test. And last but not least, our cold weather testing. I put the Wattsaving unit in this freezer more than 24 hours ago to deep freeze the unit so we could check for cable pliability. They will do a connector drop test and also the cold weather power up test to make sure that it provides power to an electric vehicle while it's frozen. So let's see how cold it is in there. Okay, -8 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's pretty cold in there, and it's been that cold now for more than 24 hours. So let's take the unit out. Let me clip off these cable ties. I tie the cable together in these small loops, and now we're going to see how well it unfolds. So let's see this, put it up on the wall. Okay, that's pretty good. That's very good, actually. So see how it's unfolding? Nice and floppy. Look at this. That's excellent. This is actually going to get some extra points on the Chargerator, and it's going to get an excellent score, actually. This is a really good cold weather cable. I kind of thought it might be in the beginning when I felt how like rubberized the jacket was when I first did the unboxing, rather than being stiff and plasticky. But look at this. Look at how it unfolds. It doesn't stay in the small loops. Like sometimes when these are frozen, they remain. It's hard for me to pull it open. Look at this. That's fantastic. This has been more than 24 hours at, under 0 degrees Fahrenheit. You could see the frost on the connector and everything, and it's performed really well. Okay, well, that's a super pass on the cable pliability test. Now let's do our connector drop test, where we'll drop this down 5 times from about waist height. It's nice and frozen. A little bit higher for the last one. Ooh, and that was right on the edge. So, wow, the end of the connector, the plastic tab, actually has a little bit of, you could probably see this here, the edge of the connector's got a little bit of damage from landing right on the corner, but it's fine. It didn't break. And I mean, that's, I prefer when these are metal, but it withstood it. And don't forget, this is frozen solid and dropped directly on the edge. So that's a pass on the connector drop test. So now what I'm going to do is plug the unit in. Let me get my adapter here. Let's see how she powers up. Okay, it appears to be powering up fine. And now I'm going to pull my Rivian R1S into the garage and plug it in and make sure it delivers the right amount of power. Okay, well, we've got the green flashing light, which looks good, but I'm just going to give it a minute and go inside the Rivian to make sure it's delivering the full amount of power that it should be. And yes, it is. The Rivian's display is showing that it's delivering 9.5 kilowatt, which is the full 40 amps. So the watt saving passes all 3 of our cold weather tests. Okay, so I've been using the unit for about 2 weeks now to charge both my Ford F-150 Lightning and my Rivian R1S, and it's worked just fine, delivering the full 40 amps to the vehicles whenever I need it to. So the unit works. Now, it's not a Wi-Fi connected smart charger. Most of the chargers coming to market today do have some sort of an app and smart charging features that allow you to start and stop a charging session, schedule delayed charging, view past charging history. Although a lot of that stuff you can do inside the electric vehicles today. So a lot of people don't really need a smart charger, and it's one of the reasons why I elected to review this unit here, because it was a basic unit. $200 is extremely affordable. For a 40 amp charger, you just don't get very many of them out there in that price category that are even worth me reviewing. And part of the reason why I elected to review this unit here, because of the company. Wattsaving is a big company in China. They manufacture charging equipment for many OEMs, and they claim to have manufactured more than 1 million chargers to date. And they work with a lot of different companies. They make original equipment chargers for a number of companies like BYD, BMW, Nissan, NIO, Geely, Zeekr, Xpeng. And they have over 50 patents and more than 20 production lines. So this isn't one of those fly-by-night small startups that are just trying to get into the EV charging space. I get requests to review a lot of that equipment and I turn it down. But I was interested in this here because of the company. And I could see it's a decent unit, but it does have its shortcomings, which we'll talk about in a minute. But what I do want to talk about is, even though it's not a smart charger, it does have access control. And it comes with 2 RFID cards. These things look like little electric vans, actually, the key fobs. And the way you change it from plug-in charge mode, which it is right now, meaning you just plug the vehicle in and it's going to start charging. You'd use this if it was in your private garage or somewhere where it's safe and other people aren't going to use it. But if this was mounted outside in some sort of public space, you want to be able to control access. So the way you do that is there's a reset button on the side. You press and hold it until this blue light turns orange. I think they said it takes about 10 seconds. There you go. And now that it's orange, you take this key fob, you hold it against here until it turns purple again. Now it's in the access control mode. And the way you use the unit now is you need this key fob. And I tested this, it does work. If I were to plug in an electric vehicle now without swiping this card, it won't charge it, it won't send any energy. So if this is mounted outside in a public space, maybe you live in an apartment building and you're allowed to install a charger in your garage and you put this one in, you want to use this so you control who uses it. Other people can't use it. You get 2 of these keys and they both work once you authorize one of them. And to put it back into open access mode, you do the same procedure. Press and hold the restart button until that turns orange. There you go. And then just take the key fob, hold it against it. And once it turns purple again, now it's in a plug-in charge mode, which means you could just plug a vehicle in and it'll start charging. You don't have any specific access requirements like this thing here. I did try to open the unit up. There's 4 screws, 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom. Even removing those screws, it wouldn't open up. I felt like I was going to break it. But there should be no need to open it up as an owner. I was just going to do it for the review. And there's something else going on. These are not designed to be opened because they're not designed to be hardwired. This is a plug-in 40 amp unit. I didn't want to break it. But, you know, there's really not much of a reason to look inside. I just do it for the review to see what's going on in there. And even removing the 4 visible screws, it wouldn't allow me to open it up. And I was stressing it to the point where I'm sure it was going to break. But in any event, you shouldn't need to open it up. What are the positives? Passed all our tests. I like this cable. It's a really good cable, and it's not a thin cable. It's thick. Usually the thinner ones perform better, which tells me this is a quality cable that they're using. It's quality. It's rubberized. The connector is actually a really good connector. I like this connector. As I mentioned, it's looks like the same one that Wallbox uses for the Pulsar Plus. It feels good in your hand. It's not a cheap connector. I think this, you could really bang it around a lot, except for this plastic tab. I wish this was metal across the top, but a lot of them are plastic these days. You know, it comes in 2 plug configurations, NEMA 1450 or 650. So if you have an existing 650, you don't have to use an adapter. I don't recommend using adapters long term. They're good in a pinch, but if you do have a NEMA, let's say 1450, and you get it in the 650, switch the outlet. It's not hard to do, and it's a much better long-term solution. The unit I have here is white, but it is also available in black and dark blue, and you can buy it directly from Amazon. Well, that pretty much does it for the review here. All that's left is my ratings. And for that, we'll first jump into the charger rater. First up is the cost and value category. It's going to get 3 points because it costs less than $400. This is the least expensive 40 amp wall mounted charger that we've ever reviewed here. And it's, as I mentioned, part of the reason why I decided to review it. I wanted to see what $200 will get you. And for value, it's going to get 2 points there because for a 40 amp wall mounted charger, $200 is really an excellent value. So it'll finish up the cost and value category with 20 points. For power and weatherproof rating, it's not going to get any points for maximum charging power because 40 amps doesn't get you any extra points. It's going to lose a point for adjustable power because you cannot adjust the power. It's going to deliver the full 40 amps if the vehicle is calling for it. For the extreme heat test, it gets a point because it passed. For weatherproof rating, it's going to get 2 points because it does have a NEMA 4 rated enclosure. It is not Energy Star certified, and it did pass the automatic restart test, so it gets a point there and finishes up the power and weatherproof rating category with 18 points. For construction and durability, it's going to lose 1 point for connector and holster because while I do like the connector, it doesn't have a connector holster. Now, I could have taken 2 points away because it's not included, but I gave it 1 point back because I really do like this connector. It's actually a very good connector, so it loses 1 point there. For cable length, it gets 2 points because it's greater than 23 feet long. And for cable pliability, it's going to get an excellent score here and get 2 points. It's one of the best performing cables that we've seen in our cold weather pliability test. For robust construction, I'm going to take 2 points from it here. The unit itself is actually pretty good, but that mounting bracket is terrible, and I can still just lift it right off the wall. And that's a safety risk there because if you pull the cable a little bit too long, this thing will lift off the wall mounting bracket. It's a terribly designed wall mounting bracket, so I'm going to take 2 points there from it. And for removability, it's not going to get any points there, although I should consider giving it a point because you can just remove it, but that's not how it's designed to be. You get an extra point here when there's a quick release security lock, so you can pull it off the wall quickly without having to unscrew anything. So no points there. And it finishes up the construction and durability category with 16 points. In the smart, non-smart category, it's not a smart charger. It cannot power share. It does not have any intelligent load management features. It does have access control, so it's going to get 2 points there because it has the RFID cards. For charging record data, no points because it doesn't keep any of that. And since it's not a smart charger, the OCPP compliant line there doesn't factor in. So it's going to finish up the smart and non-smart category with 17 points. For safety certified and warranty, it's going to lose 5 points because it is not safety certified. This unit does not have UL, CSA, or ETL certification stamp on the side. So it has not been safety certified. It's going to lose 5 points there. We take safety certification serious here. And for warranty, it only has a 2-year warranty. You get 1 point for every year of warranty, so it only gets 2 points there. And it finishes up the safety certified and warranty category with 12 points, giving the Wattsaving US10 a total of 83 points on our charger rater. And when you convert that to a 5-star rating, the Wattsaving US10 gets 4.15 stars out of 5 on the charger rater. I then average in my own personal score for the final score, and I'm going to give the unit 2.75 stars out of 5. It's not a terrible unit, but it has a terrible mounting bracket that could be a safety problem. It's not safety certified, and it only has a 2-year warranty. Those things there really contribute to the low score that I'm giving it. Now, it is only $200, and you could say, well, you get what you pay for. My answer to that would be a big company like Wattsaving probably shouldn't have put something out that wasn't safety certified and didn't have at least a 3-year warranty. Other than that, the unit is pretty good. So I can understand why. I've seen some reviews on Amazon of people saying, oh, it's great, I've had it for 6 months, I love it, it only costs $200. I get all that, but we don't really know what's going on inside there. It's not safety certified. That $200 might not be great if it only lasts you 2 years and then it melts and you're out of warranty. So, unfortunately, it's not a unit that I can personally recommend. It works. There's a lot of charging equipment that works, but things work until they don't. And that's why you want to have it safety certified and you want to have a good, robust warranty, neither of which are the case with this unit here. And for the final score, I'll combine the charger rater score of 4.15 stars with my personal score of 2.75 stars, and we come with a final rating of 3.45 stars out of 5. And lastly, let's take a look at the hits and misses. So on the hit side, $200 is a very low price for a 40 amp wall mounted charger, so we're going to give it a hit there. It has a great cable. Really love this cable, and I like the connector also, and it also has a nice design. It actually looks really nice. Looks kind of like the Tesla wall connector with the glossy white finish on the outside. For misses, it's not safety certified. It's got that poor wall bracket that really doesn't work. And it only has a 2-year warranty. So those are the 3 things that I'm most concerned with. Okay, well, that's all we have here today for the Wattsaving US10 review. I hope this review helped you decide if this is the electric vehicle charger that you want to buy. If this is your first time here at State of Charge, please hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming electric vehicle news and reviews. And as always, thanks for watching.